The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Well, welcome back to segment 2 of True News. I'm Rick Wiles. Since the re-election of Barry Soetoro, alias Barack Obama, last November, I haven't said much about his fake identity other than that my dog Gator has more ID papers than the president. But with all the scandals engulfing the Obamanistas these days, a lot of folks are waking up to the realization that officials in the Obama administration don't tell the truth. I thought we'd check in with Maricopa County Sheriff Office investigator Mr. Mike Zullo. He is the lead investigator for Sheriff Joe Arpaio's cold case posse investigation into the irregularities of Barack Obama's identity. Mr. Zullo, glad to have you back on the program.
Hi, Rick. Pleasure to be with you.
Yes, sir. Well, things aren't going well for Mr. Obama these days, and it seems this would be a good time to reopen the original scandal, which is his questionable identity. So I wanted to check in with you, Mr. Zullo, and find out if there are any new developments in the sheriff's office investigation of Mr. Obama's identification.
Well, there are. This investigation is now ongoing for 21 months. And as of recently, over, I would say, the last 3 or 4 months, we've uncovered even more evidence that is irrefutable that the document itself, the PDF file, is an utter forgery. On top of that evidence, we were successful in hiring a court-certified forensic document examiner, an individual with 20 years of experience, has testified in numerous court cases involving document fraud. And an independent evaluation by him, a 40-page report issued by him with his professional conclusion that he has never seen a document so flawed as this, and that in his professional opinion, the document is a 100% forgery. I mean, that's devastating news. We have now an independent individual looking, if you will, over our shoulder, looking at what we did, and then did his own analysis and came to the very same conclusion. So I would have to assume, if I were Mr. Obama or that campaign, that there are going to be some problems for them on the horizon regarding this document.
Yes. If Barack Obama was not the president of the United States, if he was just Joe Smith and he lived there in Phoenix and let's say a corporation called the sheriff's office and said, we have a man who is working for us and we think his identification papers are a little fishy here, and you opened up an investigation and you had an expert witness tell you the same thing about Joe Smith's identification papers has been told to you about Mr. Obama's birth certificate that's on the White House website. What would you do as a police officer?
Well, that individual, depending on what he did with the document, if the document was used to secure employment, and then we can determine that the document was in fact a forgery, and he's committed fraud, he would be arrested. No different than using a phony Social Security number. And in Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, that's a Class 4 felony. You can't take documents, you can't take state official or federal documents and reproduce them to some extent to make them what you want them to be. You can't replicate them on any level, and you certainly can't create them out of thin air. And that's what was done with the Obama document. The Obama document, and we're using the word document, but we really shouldn't. The Obama PDF file is nothing more than a computer file that this image of a birth certificate was created in. So in other words, this never started out its life as an original paper document. It was manufactured completely inside a computer. This thing resides in cyberspace. Hence, the production of this document, as Mr. Obama saying that this is proof positive of his birth, is an erroneous statement. And the fact is that the production of this PDF file loaded up to the White House website at whitehouse.gov and given to the American people as the reference document, the fact of the matter is he has produced nothing to verify his birth in the state of Hawaii. So the American people have been defrauded, in our opinion.
And what a lot of Americans are waking up to realize right now is that we have a rogue regime in power that is using the Internal Revenue Service to go after opponents of the administration's policies, to intimidate critics. We've got a rogue regime that is using the power of the federal government to investigate news reporters that they don't like their stories. And, we've got the scandal of the Benghazi murder of Ambassador Stevens and the phony story that was made up by the Obama White House about the goofy Muslim video that they said started the whole ruckus in Benghazi. And the list just goes on and on and on. Scandal after scandal, and in every instance, the Obama people have been caught lying and lying and lying. So why shouldn't we revisit the original scandal? The scandal that goes back to 2008 when he first ran for president. And this radio show, we devoted countless hours in 08 and 9 and 10 throughout his first term. Mike, I interviewed so many people I've lost track of it. But this is the ultimate scandal, because if it is proven that these documents or these so-called documents are just manufactured PDF files, and that this man is not who he says he is, then this is the biggest scandal, not only of this administration, this is the biggest scandal in the history of the Republic.
I would agree with you, and what's even more frightening than that is, as a law enforcement agency, we cannot make a positive identification. We don't have supporting documentation to back up the birth narrative. He is the only president in U.S. history that has 4 aliases. He goes by 4 different names. That's unsettling in and of itself.
Can you tell us the 4? Can you tell us the 4? I often call him Barry Soetoro. What are his other aliases?
You have Barry Soetoro, you have Barry Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, and another one found on a passport from his mother called Soey Barka, which we're not sure what that even means, but he was referenced to that on a passport document where his name was stricken from. So we're a little in the dark on that particular one. But there's problems in a lot of the background. There's problems with his years at Columbia University where he professes to be there, yet 400 alumni, nobody remembers him. At the 30-year reunion for that Columbia graduating class, I believe it was in 83, nobody remembered seeing him. He didn't even, as President of the United States, as an alumni there, send even a video message to that reunion. There's just stuff that is unheard of. As President of the Harvard Law Review, he's never authored a paper that anyone can find. You start to go back into the history, and we have no evidence that this individual was in the United States before the age of 5. The only evidence that's been offered to suggest that is an erroneous birth certificate. There's no supporting documentation around it. There's no hospital records, no eyewitness account of the birth, no eyewitness account of the mother being pregnant. And to make it even worse, we don't have any information that actually substantiates that there's validity to the claim Stanley Ann Dunham and Barack Hussein Obama are even the parents. You're shown a photograph. You're shown a couple photographs that have been circulating around now for 9 years, and they're out there saying that this is mommy and this is daddy. But there's no evidence to back that. There's nobody out there to say that they know within 100% certainty that Stanley Ann Dunham was his biological mother. There's nobody to say that Barack Hussein Obama was the biological father. And this gets troubling. If I were doing a background on you, I could get somebody that could say they remember you at 1 or 2 or 3 years old. Or somebody would have a picture of you in your mother's arms.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.